I never thought I'd be here, pouring my heart out to strangers on the internet. But life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. I'm Mark, 45M, and until a few months ago, I thought I had it all: a loving wife, Lisa, 43F, a wonderful daughter, Sophia, 16F, and a successful career as a software engineer. We lived in a nice suburban home in Seattle, had a tight-knit group of friends, and I genuinely believed we were happy. I guess I was living in a fool's paradise. It all started about 6 months ago. Lisa and I had been married for 18 years, and I thought we had a rock-solid relationship. Sure, we had our ups and downs like any couple, but I never doubted our love for each other. Lisa worked as a marketing executive, which meant she often had to attend conferences and networking events. I never minded, I trusted her completely and was proud of her success. One day, I was working from home, finishing up a big project. Lisa was at a conference in San Francisco, and Sophia was at school. I needed to print some documents, but my home office printer was out of ink. I remembered Lisa mentioning she had some extra cartridges in her desk drawer, so I went to grab one. As I opened her drawer, I noticed a small, unfamiliar box tucked in the back. Curiosity got the better of me, and I pulled it out. Inside were a bunch of hotel key cards, movie ticket stubs, and small souvenirs. Nothing unusual for someone who travels for work, except these were all from places Lisa had never mentioned visiting. There was even a keychain from Las Vegas, a city she claimed to hate. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach, but I told myself I was being paranoid. There had to be a reasonable explanation, right? I put everything back exactly as I found it and tried to focus on work, but my mind kept wandering back to that box. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I started paying more attention to Lisa's trips, her phone habits, her explanations of where she'd been. Little inconsistencies that I'd never noticed before suddenly seemed glaringly obvious. The way she'd turn her phone face down when I entered the room, how she'd step outside to take certain calls, claiming it was work stuff. I hated myself for it, but I started snooping. I'm not proud of it, but I felt like I was going crazy. One night, while Lisa was in the shower, I checked her phone. There were several texts from a contact named Mike that seemed oddly personal for a colleague. I didn't have time to read them all, but what I saw broke me. Can't wait to see you next week. I've missed you. Lisa's reply, me too. These trips are the highlight of my month. I put the phone down, feeling sick. I wanted to confront her right then, but I knew I needed more evidence. What if I was jumping to conclusions? What if Mike was just a close friend? I needed to be sure before I potentially blew up my marriage. The next day, I did something I'm not proud of. I installed a keylogger on our shared home computer. Lisa often used it to check her personal email when she didn't want to bother with her work laptop. It felt like a violation, but I was desperate for answers. A week passed, and Lisa left for another business trip. As soon as she was gone, I checked the keylogger data. There were emails going back years to a man named David. At first, they seemed innocent enough, discussions about work, industry gossip. But as I read on, the tone changed. They became more intimate, filled with inside jokes and references to times they'd spent together. I dug deeper, checking credit card statements and bank records. I found charges for hotels and restaurants in cities Lisa had never mentioned visiting for work. There were even plane tickets to Las Vegas, 3 trips in the past year alone. I felt like I was going to be sick. 18 years of marriage, and God knows how many of those were a lie. But the betrayal went deeper than just Lisa. As I continued to investigate, I found messages between Lisa and Sophia. My daughter, the girl I'd raised and loved for 16 years, had known about the affair for at least a year. There were texts where Lisa was coaching Sophia on what to tell me about her trips, asking her to cover for her. Sophia had lied to my face, telling me Lisa had called when she hadn't, making up stories about her mom's work events. For the next week, I was a wreck. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I'd lie awake at night replaying every conversation, every interaction, looking for clues I might have missed. How could I have been so blind? During the day, I'd go through the motions at work, but my mind was elsewhere. I'd catch myself staring at photos of us on my desk, wondering if Lisa was thinking about David when we took them. The hardest part was pretending everything was normal when Lisa returned from her trip. I watched her unpack, listened to her stories about boring meetings and networking events, all the while knowing they were lies. Every smile, every kiss felt like a knife in my heart. I wanted to confront her immediately, to scream and yell and demand answers, but I forced myself to wait. I needed to be calm, to have all my facts straight. I couldn't give her any room to deny or deflect. Finally, after 3 agonizing days of pretending, I decided it was time. I waited until Sophia was out with friends. I couldn't deal with both of them at once. I sat Lisa down in our living room, the same room where we'd spent countless evenings watching movies, talking about our days, planning our future. The irony wasn't lost on me. We need to talk, I said. Lisa looked confused, maybe a little worried. Is everything okay? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. No, everything is not okay. I know about David. The color drained from her face. She opened her mouth, probably to deny it, but I cut her off. I laid out everything I'd found, the emails, the credit card charges, the trips to Las Vegas. With each piece of evidence, I watched her crumble a little more. When I finished, there was silence. Lisa was crying. "I'm so sorry," she finally said. "I never meant for it to go on for so long. I love you, I do, but you love him too?" I snapped. "You're confused? Save it, Lisa. I don't want to hear your excuses." "How long?" I asked. "How long has this been going on?" She hesitated. 5 years, she admitted. But it wasn't always physical. At first, we were just friends. 5 years. More than a quarter of our marriage. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. "And Sophia?" I asked. "How long has she known?" Lisa looked surprised that I knew about Sophia's involvement. "A year," she said. "She found out by accident. I made her promise not to tell you. I told her I'd end it." I stood up. I couldn't bear to hear any more excuses. "I want you out of this house," I said. "Go stay with your sister. I'll have divorce papers drawn up." Lisa started sobbing harder. "Please, Mark. We can work this out. I'll end it with David for good this time. I'll do anything. Please don't throw away 18 years of marriage." I laughed again, but there was no humor in it. "You threw it away every time you lied to me, every time you went to see him. You threw it away, not me." She tried to argue more, but I was done listening. I went upstairs and threw some of her clothes into a suitcase. When I came back down, Lisa was still on the couch, crying. "Get out," I said, dropping the suitcase at her feet. "Now. I can't even look at you." As soon as the door closed behind her, I broke down. I cried like I hadn't cried since I was a kid. Dealing with Sophia was even harder. She came home the next day, acting like everything was normal. It made me sick. I waited until after dinner to confront her. "Your mom is staying with your aunt for a while," I said. "I know about David, Sophia. I know you've been covering for your mom." The look on her face was like a knife to my heart, shock, fear, guilt. It was all there. She started crying immediately. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "Mom made me promise not to tell. She said she'd end it. She said it would break up our family if you knew." "And you believed her?" I asked. "For a year, you lied to my face every day." "I didn't want to lose you," Sophia cried. "I was afraid you'd leave if you found out. You're the only dad I've ever had. I couldn't bear the thought of losing you." I wanted to comfort her. This was the girl I'd raised for 16 years. I'd been there for every important moment of her life. But every time I looked at her, all I could see was betrayal. "Pack your things," I said. "You're going to stay with your mom at your aunt's place." Sophia's eyes widened in disbelief. "What? No, please don't make me leave," she started crying harder, reaching out to me. I stepped back. "You should have thought of that before lying to me for a year. I can't even look at you right now without feeling betrayed. I need you to go." Sophia ran upstairs sobbing. I heard her moving around, packing. When she came back down, her face was red and puffy from crying. "Please," she tried one more time. "I love you, Dad. Please don't do this." Hearing her call me Dad nearly broke me, but I stood my ground. "Go," I said. "Now." The next few weeks were a blur. I barely ate, barely slept. I'd wander around the house, looking at photos of our family, wondering how it had all gone so wrong. My colleagues noticed something was off, but I brushed off their concerns. How could I explain that my entire life had been a lie? That the woman I loved had been cheating on me for years? That the child I'd raised as my own had betrayed me? 2 weeks after the confrontation, Lisa's lawyer contacted me. They wanted to discuss the division of assets, custody arrangements for Sophia. In a moment of anger, I went to the bank and withdrew everything from our joint accounts, about $120,000. I knew it probably wasn't legal, but I wasn't thinking straight. I figured half of it was mine anyway, and Lisa owed me for years of lies. I put it all in a new account in just my name. It felt good for a moment to take some control back, but the satisfaction was short-lived. Lisa's family started blowing up my phone, saying this wasn't right, that I needed to think this through. Her sister left me a voicemail calling me a heartless bastard for kicking out Sophia. Lisa's parents, who I thought loved me like a son, were threatening legal action over the money. Some of my friends think I went too far, especially with taking the money and kicking out Sophia. They say I'm punishing a kid for an adult's mistake, that I'm letting my anger cloud my judgment. But others think I'm justified, that Lisa and Sophia betrayed me and now they're facing the consequences. My own family is divided on how to react. My parents are supportive, angry on my behalf for how I've been treated. But my sister thinks I'm being too harsh, especially with Sophia. She keeps reminding me that Sophia isn't my flesh and blood, that she was put in an impossible position by her mother. I'm trying to focus on the future, but it's hard. Everything I thought I knew about my life, my family, has been turned upside down. I don't know what to think anymore. So here I am, pouring my heart out to strangers on the internet. I guess I'm looking for advice, or maybe just validation that I'm not crazy for feeling this way. How do you move on when your entire life has been a lie? Update 1. It's been 2 months since my last post, and a lot has happened. I'm not sure if things are better or worse, but they're definitely different. First, the legal battles. Lisa's lawyer came at me hard about the money I took from our joint account. They threatened to take me to court for financial misconduct if I didn't return at least half of what I'd withdrawn. After talking it over with my own lawyer, I finally got one. I agreed to transfer half the money back. It felt like admitting defeat, but my lawyer assured me it was the smart move in the long run. The house is another point of contention. Lisa wants to sell it and split the proceeds, but I'm not ready to let go. This is the home we built together, literally. I designed most of it myself. The thought of strangers living here makes me sick, but I also can't afford to buy Lisa out on my own. We're at a stalemate for now. As for Sophia, that situation has gotten more complicated. About a month ago, she showed up at the house unannounced. I was working in the home office when I heard a knock at the door. When I opened it, there she was, looking small and scared, with a backpack over her shoulder. It turns out she'd had a huge fight with Lisa. Sophia had finally confronted her mother about the affair, about making her lie to me for years. Lisa had apparently tried to justify her actions, saying that Sophia couldn't understand adult relationships. This had led to a screaming match, with Sophia accusing Lisa of ruining their family. In the heat of the moment, Sophia had packed a bag and left. Against my better judgment, I agreed to let her stay the night. I told her we'd figure things out in the morning. I made up the guest room for her, the same room she'd slept in when she first came to live with us 16 years ago. That night, I heard muffled sobs coming from Sophia's room. The next morning, I called Lisa to let her know Sophia was with me. To say she was upset would be an understatement. She accused me of turning Sophia against her, of manipulating the situation. I let her rant, too tired to argue. She can stay here for now, I said when Lisa finally paused for breath. But we need to figure out a long-term solution. This isn't healthy for any of us. Lisa reluctantly agreed, probably realizing she didn't have much choice. Sophia was almost 17, and forcing her to come home would likely just push her further away. So now, 2 months after I thought I'd cut all ties with my old life, I find myself living with my stepdaughter again. It's complicated. There are moments when it feels almost normal, like when we're eating dinner together or when I help her with her homework. But then I'll remember everything that's happened, and the anger and hurt come rushing back. Sophia's trying, I'll give her that. She's been going to therapy, something I still can't bring myself to do, and she's made multiple attempts to apologize and explain her actions. She's told me how guilty she felt lying to me, how she convinced herself it was the right thing to do to keep our family together. I thought if I just kept quiet, Mom would end it like she promised, she told me one night. I was stupid. I should have told you the truth from the beginning. I want to forgive her, I really do. But every time I start to let my guard down, I remember those 2 years of lies, and I pull back. As for Lisa, we're still barely speaking. Our communication is limited to emails about financial matters and Sophia's well-being. She's made a few attempts to apologize, to explain herself, but I'm not ready to hear it. I did learn through Sophia that Lisa has ended things with David for good. Apparently, he wasn't too keen on the idea of being with Lisa full-time, of dealing with all the mess their affair had created. Part of me felt a twisted satisfaction at that. Let her feel a fraction of the rejection and betrayal I've experienced. My friends and family are still divided on how to handle the situation. Some think I'm being too soft by letting Sophia stay with me. Others praise me for stepping up and being there for her despite everything. I'm not sure which group is right. I still have days where the anger threatens to overwhelm me, days where I want to sell the house, change my number, and disappear to start a new life somewhere else. But then I look at Sophia, see the fear in her eyes when she thinks I might kick her out again, and I know I can't do it. For better or worse, she's still my family, even if she's not my blood. So that's where things stand now. The divorce proceedings are moving forward, slowly but surely. I'm taking it one day at a time, trying to rebuild some semblance of a life from the ashes of my marriage. It's not easy, but I'm trying. That's all I can do for now. Update 2, it's been another 3 months since my last update, and once again, a lot has changed. Some for the better, some. Well, I'm not sure yet. First, the divorce is final. After months of negotiations, arguments, and compromises, Lisa and I are officially no longer married. The house ended up being sold, neither of us could afford to buy the other out, and living there had become too painful anyway. Every room held memories, both good and bad. It was time to let it go. We split the proceeds, which gave me enough to put a down payment on a smaller place closer to my office. Sophia turned 17 last month. We had a small celebration, just the two of us and a cake I picked up from the local bakery. It felt bittersweet. I was proud of the young woman she's becoming, but I couldn't help thinking about all the family birthdays we'd had in the past, before everything fell apart. Our relationship has improved, slowly but surely. The therapy she's been going to seems to be helping. She's more open now, more willing to talk about her feelings and take responsibility for her actions. We've had some hard conversations, but we're also talking about the good times we shared as a family. One night, after a particularly emotional therapy session, Sophia came to me with tears in her eyes. She apologized again, telling me how guilty she felt for lying to me, how she was young and scared but knew that wasn't an excuse. She said she hoped that someday I could forgive her. I hugged her for the first time in months. I'm working on it, I told her, and I meant it. Sophia's relationship with Lisa is still strained. They're talking, but it's clear that the trust between them has been severely damaged. Sophia's been spending most of her time with me, only visiting Lisa on occasional weekends. As for Lisa, well, that's where things get complicated. About a month ago, she reached out asking if we could meet to talk. My first instinct was to refuse, but curiosity got the better of me. Seeing her again was harder than I expected. She apologized again, saying she knew she had no right to ask for my forgiveness, but she wanted me to know how sorry she was, not just for the affair, but for all the lies, for involving Sophia, for throwing away everything we had. She explained that she'd been in therapy since our split. She'd been diagnosed with depression and was now on medication. She talked about how she'd been struggling with feelings of inadequacy and a fear of commitment long before she met David, how the affair had been a way of sabotaging her own happiness because she didn't feel she deserved it. She said she didn't expect anything from me, that she knew she'd lost any right to ask for my trust or forgiveness. She just wanted me to know that she understood the magnitude of what she'd done, and she wanted to thank me for being there for Sophia. We talked for a while longer, about Sophia, about the divorce, about our separate lives now. It was the longest conversation we'd had in months that didn't involve lawyers or financial negotiations. When we finally parted ways, I felt, I'm not sure. Not better exactly, but different. Like something had shifted. Sophia was curious about my meeting with Lisa. When I told her about it, she seemed relieved. She said she was glad her mom was getting help, and maybe someday we could all be in the same room without it being awkward and painful. I'm not sure if that's possible, but I appreciate Sophia's optimism. As for me, I've started dating again. Tentatively. Nothing serious yet, just a few casual dinners with women I've met through friends or work. It feels strange being single again at 45. I'm rusty, awkward, still carrying a lot of baggage from my marriage. But it's nice to be reminded that there might be a future for me that doesn't revolve around Lisa's betrayal. Sophia has been supportive of my dating efforts, even offering to help me set up an online dating profile. I declined. I'm not quite ready for that level of putting myself out there, but I appreciate her enthusiasm. You deserve to be happy, Dad, she told me. She's taken to calling me that again, and I find I don't mind it as much as I used to. So that's where things stand now, 5 months later. The dust has settled somewhat. The acute pain of betrayal has faded to a dull ache. I'm not happy, not yet, but I'm okay. Taking it one day at a time. And for the first time in a long time, I'm starting to believe that there might be a future worth looking forward to. For now, that's enough. Update 3, it's been 6 months since my last update, and I'm writing this with mixed emotions. A lot has happened, and I'm still trying to process it all. First, the good news. Sophia graduated high school last month. Despite everything that's happened, she managed to keep her grades up and even got accepted into her dream college. The graduation ceremony was complicated. Lisa was there, of course. It was the first time we'd all been together in the same place since the divorce. There was tension, but we managed to keep things civil for Sophia's sake. Seeing her walk across that stage, diploma in hand, I felt a surge of pride that momentarily overshadowed all the pain of the past year. After the ceremony, we went out for dinner, Sophia, Lisa, and me. It was awkward, to say the least, but we made it through. Sophia seemed happy to have both of us there, and for her sake, I'm glad we could put aside our differences for one night. Now for the complicated part. About a month ago, I met someone. Her name is Rachel, 41F, and she's a colleague at work. We started talking during a company event, and one thing led to another. We've been on a few dates, and I have to admit, it feels good to connect with someone again. Rachel knows about my past. I was upfront about the divorce and everything that happened. She's been understanding and patient, which I appreciate. The problem is, Sophia isn't taking it well. When I told her about Rachel, she got upset. She accused me of trying to replace her mom, of moving on too quickly. I tried to explain that I wasn't trying to replace anyone, that I was just trying to move forward with my life, but she wouldn't listen. She stormed off to her room and didn't speak to me for days. I understand where Sophia's coming from. Despite everything that's happened, Lisa is still her mother, and I think part of her was holding on to the hope that we might reconcile someday. Seeing me with someone else makes that hope impossible. To make matters worse, Lisa found out about Rachel through Sophia. She called me, upset, saying it was too soon, that I was being insensitive to Sophia's feelings. I reminded her that she had given up any right to have an opinion on my personal life when she cheated, but her words still stung. I'm torn. On one hand, I feel like I have a right to try to find happiness again. The past year and a half has been hell, and Rachel makes me feel alive in a way I haven't in a long time. On the other hand, I don't want to hurt Sophia any more than she's already been hurt. She's been through so much, and the last thing I want is for her to feel like she's losing me too. I've tried talking to Sophia about it, explaining that Rachel isn't trying to replace her mom, that my relationship with Rachel doesn't change how I feel about her. But she's not ready to listen. She's been spending more time at Lisa's place lately, which hurts more than I care to admit. My friends are divided. Some think I'm moving too fast, that I should focus on healing myself and my relationship with Sophia before getting involved with someone new. Others say I deserve a chance at happiness, that Sophia will come around eventually. I don't know what to do. I care about Rachel, and I don't want to end things with her. But Sophia is my daughter, even if not by blood, and her happiness is important to me too. I feel like I'm being forced to choose between my chance at a new relationship and my relationship with my daughter. As I write this, I'm realizing that maybe I'm not as healed as I thought I was. The wounds from Lisa's betrayal are still raw, and now I'm facing a whole new set of challenges. I thought the hard part was over, but it seems like it's only just beginning. I'm not asking for advice this time. I know this is something I need to figure out on my own. I guess I'm just putting this out there as a reminder that healing isn't linear. Just when you think you're moving forward, life throws you another curveball.